A very warm good morning to Honorable Chairman, Professor K.K. Agarwal, Sir, National Board of Accreditation, esteemed Ila Gandhi Ma'am, Peace Activist, South Africa, esteemed Professor Dr. Vincenzo Peoria, President IEEE Systems Council, Italy, Dr. Danilo Pelosi, Associate Professor, University of Roma, Italy, Honorable Chancellor, Mr. Sunil Galgotia, Sir, Honorable CEO, Mr. Dhruv Galgotia, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Preeti Bajaj, Dr. Meenakshi Sharma, Dean UCRD and organizer of the event, PVCs, Deans, faculty members, and participants. I welcome you all to the inauguration of Indo-Italy 1-week international workshop on research methodology series 4. UCRD Galgotias University has organized 3 workshops in last year with many eminent speakers in Indo-Muscat workshop in collaboration with ICT Academy and STTP for 21 days in research methodology. The main objective of the workshop is to introduce the modern ways of conducting literature research, use of discovery tools and databases, use of reference management, research data. The of 1-week Indo-Italy workshop on research methodology is to improve the research and competence among the researchers by strengthening the knowledge as well as improving researchers' technical writing skills. I now request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Preeti Bajaj, to kindly give the welcome address and also introduce our today's chief guest.
Thank you, Sophia. Honorable Chief Guest of this 1-week International Virtual Workshop on Research Methodology, Professor K.K. Agarwal, Chairman, National Board of Accreditations, Guest of Honor, esteemed Ila Gandhi, the Peace Activist, South Africa, Professor Vincenzo Peoria, President IEEE System Councils 2021 Italy, and my esteemed colleague from IEEE, who has been many a times to Galgotias, the faculty coordinators, Dr. Meenakshi, Dr. Naresh, Mrs. Sophia, the deans, the participants from the esteemed country, a very good morning to one and all. At the outset, I'm obliged and honored to introduce the guest and to be part of this workshop at the inaugural ceremony. It takes me privilege to introduce one of my mentors, Professor K.K. Agarwal.
Thank you.
Sir, on behalf of Galgotias University, I welcome you to this workshop. Professor K.K. Agarwal obtained his Bachelor of Engineering degree from Punjab University, Masters from NIT Kurukshetra, and PhD again from NIT Kurukshetra. Having vast experience at NIT, he has also served as Pro-Vice Chancellor GJU, Hisar for a period of 3 years, and then founder Vice Chancellor of GGS Indraprasth University, Delhi for a period of more than 10 years. He had been president of Institute of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering, IIT, for the period of 2002 to 2004, president of Computer Science Society of India from 2007 to 9, and president of Southeast Asia Regional Computer Confederation, SEARCC, from 2008 to 10. Have published more than 400 publications in reputed journals and more than 50% of his work in indexed journal, and he has widely consulted by industry, most notable being with his contribution towards reliability analysis for PSLV, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. Professor Agarwal has conferred honorary fellowship by Broadcast Society of India. He was decorated with Lifetime Achievement Award by IT and also by Computer Society of India. Professor Agarwal has been associated with NBA in various capacity, and right now he is chairman of National Board of Accreditations, and which is the topmost body in India for granting the accreditations in engineering education. Sir, once again, welcome you to this workshop.
Thank you so much.
And dear friends, the basic objective for research methodology workshop to have interaction regarding various dimensions of research. Basically, this workshop would give you idea to many beginners what you mean by research, how you can explore, how you can start, what can be a starting point for your research, what should be do's and don'ts about research. And it includes several sessions, the sessions which are organized on artificial intelligence for cloud, citation and indexing, the research excellence, the ethical approach, the problem-based learning, emerging research areas, the power electronics role in renewable, which are the hot topics in the research as on today, the hybrid methodologies for solving and the optimization issues, writing research articles, writing books, writing papers, monograms, using technology to enhance the research and the research tools, the academic research enterprise before and after COVID-19, and the power of data to drive the economic progress, but not limited to. I congratulate UCRD, in particular, Dr. Meenakshi, for conceiving this workshop, and the coordinators of the workshop for coming out with such a good platter for the researchers and especially the beginners who will understand the research and will start their research journey in the campuses, respective campuses. Once again, I welcome all the esteemed guests and thank our Honorable Chancellor and Honorable CEO who could not join this most awaited workshop because of some important task, but they have conveyed their best wishes. So all the best, dear participants, and enjoy and have a research and fruitful week ahead. Thank you.
I now request our chief guest of today's inaugural session, Honorable Chairman, Professor K.K. Agrawal, Sir, National Board of Accreditation, to kindly add. नहीं मैम सर को शायद
Hello. Is it okay for me to start?
Yes, Chief Guest, sir.
Yeah. Do I start?
Yes, sir. Sir, please.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Preeti Bajaj, Vice Chancellor of Galgotias University, the guests of honor this morning, esteemed Madam Ila Gandhi ji, who is the granddaughter of Mahatma Gandhi ji, the most reverend name in this country. And she is the former Vice President of the United Democratic Front, Durban, South Africa. And Professor Vincenzo Peoria, President of IEEE Systems Control, visiting professor of the University of Texas at Austin, and visiting researcher at George Mason University, USA. Professor of Computer Science and Engineering, University of Milan, Italy, and many international and national speakers over this platform. First of all, let me congratulate Dr. Preeti for organizing a very nice workshop on research methodology and having international collaboration at the highest level involving so many eminent researchers from so many countries of the globe. Congratulations, Dr. Preeti and all the other team members from Galgotias University. The other guests who are present here this morning, while Dr. Vincenzo Peoria is by virtue of his collaborations in the technical world and most importantly to his contributions in IEEE. I had the privilege of association of IEEE in some sense, having published about 30 odd papers and have been awarded by IEEE in some sense. And esteemed Ila Gandhi ji, who gives a different flavor to this conference. We have been talking about research in the context of science and technology. But since we have launched the new education policy, we now very strongly believe that the research without a connect to the roots becomes really a cosmetic research in several sense in the world. So therefore, when our researchers from India work on research problems, they should keep the latest in science and technology in mind, should keep on working on those directions, but at the same time, the priorities of this country, the priorities of this nation, the culture of this country should not escape their attention, because it is then the researchers get connected to the roots of this country and thereby benefit most of the population of this country. So in that context, I see the presence of Gandhi as a great source of inspiration this morning to the researchers, particularly from India and South Africa. Friends, when you talk about research methodology, I believe it's the right time for Galgotias University to put forward the ideas on research methodology on a very sound footing for various reasons. First is the country has launched the new education policy, which gives a lot of emphasis on research. I, for one, do not have a very great fancy for connect between the research degrees and the teaching, but I have great liking for connecting research with teaching, because the research per se gives you certain attributes, according to me, which are most important than the topic of your research. For example, every researcher will have to be inquisitive. Unless you are inquisitive, you cannot be a researcher. Every researcher will have to study all the other peers in the area and then try to find and evaluate what can be done next. So a very constructive active collaboration with the peers is a great attribute of any good researcher, and that's what I like. A researcher has to update his knowledge or her knowledge every day. And now in the age of internet, maybe every hour. And that is what a teacher has to have. So I may not be enamored that the PhD degree or DSc or DLit is important for teaching, but I certainly believe that these attributes of inquisitiveness, query-based mindset, flexibility, and peers connect are very important attributes of research. They must be practiced by every teacher, and therefore it's a very right step from Galgotias University. And I certainly expected this when Dr. Preeti is here, because she's a researcher par excellence in addition to an educational administrator. And therefore, this workshop is in the right earnest. And secondly, Galgotias University has come up to the point of takeoff to the next level. In the new education policy, we definitely believe that the country will have research-intensive universities, teaching-intensive universities, and autonomous colleges which could award their degrees. Now, in that scenario, Galgotias University, which has already established itself as a good teaching university, has, I think, now to take off to the research university, which does not mean they will neglect teaching. A research university will always concentrate on teaching, but in addition, they will excel in research also. So I believe this workshop will give them a foothold to move forward and to take off the next step. The university already has students from about 25 countries, which makes the international perspective quite visible even now. And therefore, this research methodology workshop, which is being organized in collaboration with several countries of the world, and most dominantly with Italy, I think is a very right step for Galgotias University to promote this culture. Having said that, friends,
Dear participants and faculty members, there is some technical issue at Professor K.K. Agarwal sir's side. He'll be joining soon. Welcome, sir.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Is it okay now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Please continue, sir.
Yeah. Friends, I'm extremely sorry for the disruption which happened because of the power failure at my premises. Sorry for that. But I was talking about the fact that the research methodology, when we talk about today, in addition to the conventional tools which will be discussed in this workshop at length, I am trying to talk about some I'm trying to talk about some general philosophy of research methodologies. I believe today's research methodology, or the people who are active researchers, will have to, in addition to learn statistics, several things. First is aptitude. We as researchers and even as teachers have learned not to fail and not to allow the student to fail. Now, this is a dimension which will have to change, because failure is a part of learning, and more so for the researcher. Every researcher who decides never to fail can never be a good researcher. And therefore, I believe in this workshop and research methodology, you will have to pick up very strongly the lesson to be imbibed, that to be failing is quite all right. I remember always the great scientist Edison, who spent about 2,000 materials inventing an electric bulb. And when his assistant told him, "Sir, we have wasted so much time in trying 2,000 materials and we have failed," he said, "No, my dear, we have put the whole world to say that these 2,000 materials need not be tried by any other scientist. So therefore, it's a great contribution to the research which we have made in the international world." So that's the attitude of is important. A researcher should believe more in the working style and rest of the things should follow by themselves. Failure and success are both equally good for a researcher. That's one aptitude which we have to happen. I also believe that this can be learned from the nature in a very big way. Nature has provided an inbuilt aptitude that to be failing is all right. I was reading a paper which is called Law of Wasted Effort. It says, say for example, lion, which is the king of the jungle, succeeds only about 20 to 25% of the times in his attempt, but fails 75 to 80% of the times, but we still call him king of the jungle. It's only in the research and the universities where we believe any single mistake is enough to spoil your career, to kill your career. I think that attitude has to change. To fail is quite all right. We must understand nature has designed a failure as a part of the total system. For example, so many seeds from the trees get blown away from the air without any growth, but that's accepted. But we don't accept failure on the part of the researcher, which I think will have to change. And therefore, I believe that this particular concept that a researcher cannot fail should be done away with. We should definitely believe that failure is a ladder to success, and researchers should be encouraged to give very genuine trial and then see what happens. Third thing which I thought I will tell a researcher in this workshop is entrepreneurship has to be a very essential component of a researcher today, because every researcher will have to be an entrepreneur at the end of the day, and that should be accepted. That should be accepted, and that should be taken very supportively. Because unless we do that, we are really not doing justice to the researcher, because the researcher will have to ensure that entrepreneurship, which is a essential characteristic. Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Sir, you're audible.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, you're audible to us. Yes, sir. Please continue, sir.
Okay. Okay. So researcher will have to imbibe the properties of entrepreneurship in a very big way and go ahead with that, because unless we try and imbibe that, the qualities of entrepreneurship, that come what may, ultimately I will succeed, is another attribute which we will have to imbibe. So friends, I believe while you will learn a lot from the experts in this workshop on different attributes which a researcher must have, I believe some additional attributes which you require is develop a research aptitude, learn and develop an aptitude that failure is all right, there's nothing wrong to fail. It's perfectly in order to fail if required. Multidisciplinarity is another thing which will be very essential in today's research. A researcher which concentrates only on one discipline does very good contribution at times. We have had excellent researchers in the world in one discipline, but real useful research to the society results from multidisciplinarity, and therefore a time has come where we should all learn that multidisciplinarity should be an attribute of the good researcher. I can talk about several researchers. Newton, for example, he did work in optics, he worked in mechanics, he worked in laws of gravitation, so on and so forth. Sir Jagdish Chandra Bose works on botany, extreme botany, where he proves that the plants have life, and works on microwave communication, extreme physical sciences. So extreme convergence between physical sciences and life sciences.
Similarly, I think in the present day, say for example, Elon Musk, he researches on satellite system one day, driverless cars another day, emotional understanding computers other day, so on and so forth. So real researchers ultimately will have to be multidisciplinary, and I think that cannot be taught in a workshop, but that attribute can be suggested that the future researchers will have to imbibe these things. So with these few observations of mine, and finally, quality of research will have to be very, very important. And I was just reading a very old paper on quality, and I read some very interesting definitions of quality, which I thought I'll just recapitulate very fast. It says quality is being polite on the telephone. Quality is getting things right first time, every time. Quality is aiming for zero defects. Quality is being flexible and responsive to change. Quality is delivering on time and in full. Quality is tackling the source, not the symptoms of a problem. That's where I say multidisciplinarity. Quality is admitting your most valuable response is your people. Quality is having a cost-effective, workable quality system. Quality is measuring the progress of quality improvement. Quality is solving problems by discussion, not conflict. Quality is never having to say, I'm sorry. Quality is improving your own performance. Quality is cooperating and not confronting. Quality does not mean just making things for the top of the market. Quality means providing products and services that do what they are supposed to do. Quality is important for only two reasons. Number one, you care about your students, and number two, you care about the survival of your organization. If you don't care, then don't waste money on quality. But if you care about your students and care about your organization, then quality is a must, and quality is never an accident, but the result of an intelligent effort. So today's researchers will have to have eye on quality all the time. With these few remarks, I once again thank Dr. Preeti Bajaj in particular and Galgotias University in general to give me an opportunity to be a part of this a great occasion, and wish your deliberations all the very best in the coming week. Thank you very much. My best wishes. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful thoughts and connecting the research in society and enlightening our young researchers about aptitude, entrepreneurship, and doing quality research. Once again, thank you, sir, for gracing our today's event. I now request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, ma'am, to present a memento as a token of love from our side to Professor K.K. Agarwal, sir. Ma'am, please.
Sir, since now the campuses have opened, we wish you be here, and we'll invite you very soon in the campus so that we can meet in person, and my students and faculties will be beneficiary for the same. Thank you so much, sir, and a small right now memento for you, expressing our gratitude for sparing your precious time and your presence, and then your words of wisdom, which are really, the words which have to be taken up in the in real sense, so that those words, if the researchers would implement, they can connect this research with academics and social issues.
Thank you, Preeti. Thank you so much, and wish you all the very best. I will visit the campus soon. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. We are honored to have with us a guest of honor, esteemed Ela Gandhi ma'am, peace activist, South Africa. Ela Gandhi ma'am, daughter of Mahatma Gandhi, is a South African peace activist and was a member of parliament in South Africa from 1994 to 2004, where she aligned with African National Congress representing the Phoenix area of Inanda in the KwaZulu-Natal province. Her parliamentary committee assignments included the Welfare and Public Enterprises Committees, as well as the Ad hoc Committee on Surrogate Motherhood. She was an alternate member of the Justice Committee and served on Theme Committee 5 on Judiciary and Legal System. She was born in South Africa to Manilal Gandhi and grew up in an ashram of the Phoenix settlement near Durban, South Africa. She received her BA degree at the formal Natal University and later received a BA in Social Science with honors in UNISA. Following graduation, she worked as a social worker with the Verulam Child and Family Welfare Society for 15 years and the Durban Indian Child and Family Welfare Society for 5 years. Ma'am, we are honored and blessed to have you here with us today. I now request our guest of honor, ma'am, to kindly address the young researchers.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that introduction, Program Director. Honorable Chancellor in their absence, Chief Guest, Professor Agarwal, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Puri, Professor Sharma, other esteemed guests, members of the university, and students who are the shining stars of this highly acclaimed university. Thank you for inviting me. Among the many faculties in your university, I believe you also have the faculties of science and engineering, law and communications and media. All three are at the present moment creating ripples in the international arena as we look at the strides being made in these fields with awe and consternation. The fourth industrial revolution has created great expectations, and at the same time, there is much anxiety about the use of technological advances that may be made. The advent of artificial intelligence is raising many questions. While welcoming new knowledge, it must be noted that leading scientists are debating its possible impact on the world. Media is also affected by the speed with which news travels through social and digital media. There are many debates on the effects of the digital age on young people. What is of concern is that while rapid and unprecedented advances are being made in science and technology, is the world prepared to regulate these technological advances so that the masses of our people benefit and that technology is not used to harm people? This question and many others are raised in many circles around the world. There is consensus, however, that some parameters need to be created, or else we can find ourselves in a state of total annihilation. This is a time when people are concerned about the proliferation of fake news and use of rapid digital technology to fuel hatred and mayhem. In our country, just recently, we saw the effects of this dark side of social media. In recent weeks, when looting, rioting, and destruction were instigated by social media. Clearly, there is a need to monitor social media and regulate it so that it is not misused. A balance needs to be created between the right to information and the right to freedom of speech, and the rights of individuals both to privacy and to be protected from hate speech. Gandhiji went to pains to create an awareness that every right has a responsibility, and the responsibility is in fact far more important than the rights. He believed that if everyone carries out their responsibility or duty or dharma, then rights will automatically be realized. It is in this area of work where the law faculty can play a crucial role. As possible regulations need to be carefully and conscientiously prepared to meet the new challenges. This conference comes at an important moment in the world as we transit to a new phase of life on Earth post-COVID-19. Quoting one of the leading scientists of the world, Albert Einstein, who said, and I quote, "Concern for man himself must always constitute the chief objective of all technological effort," unquote. One realizes from this the responsibility a researcher carries. For knowledge to be of benefit to humanity, the search for new knowledge needs to be addressed by the adherence to a code of methodology for gathering, interpretation, and impact of such knowledge. Professor Agarwal has very concisely expressed this in his speech. Our past masters, such as Satyendranath Bose, whose new concept of Planck's law of radiation applied to the atoms and molecules of gas, informed Einstein's work. Similarly, C.V. Raman's discoveries also impacted on the scientific findings of Einstein. These are great luminaries in the field, and our young rising stars can gain much from the work and ethics laid down by these scientists. We stand on the shoulders of former researchers as we seek new knowledge or develop old knowledge. Gandhiji, in this regard, stated, and I quote, "I have nothing new to teach to the world. Truth and nonviolence are as old as the hills. All I have done is to try experiments in both on as vast a scale as I could." I close quote. Later, in 1949, Einstein sent a message to independent India in which he said, and I quote, "For the first time, it was shown to humanity what can be achieved through a strong will and consequential action without the force of arms. When the world will succeed in grasping the full implication of this event and will adjust their behavior accordingly, then the permanent overcoming of the current dangerous situation will not meet with great difficulties." I close quote. How true this statement is for the present world situation today, where wars and violence continue in various parts of the world, not least on the African continent. Today, 19 countries in the world possess dangerous nuclear weapons, which have been sharpened over time to be far greater in impact than the ones used over Hiroshima and Nagasaki. A moment of madness can lead to the destruction of our entire planet. So the question uppermost in the minds of millions of people around the world is how can we create a peaceful world and curb the turmoil that is eating up the resources of the world. So you, the rising stars, will certainly be affected by what we do today. Realizing this around the world, the youth are rising up, such as Greta Thunberg and Malala Yousafzai, to work for environmental protection, for peace and education for all. These are important struggles which need to be kept in mind as we seek new knowledge. At the end of the day, the most important question is knowledge to what end? Einstein wrote, and I quote, "Patient and honest educational work in favor of a moral and enlightened attitude is, in my opinion, the only way to a happier life." Close quote. This path, I believe, will be laid by the discussion of the knowledge you wish to seek, the methodology you need to use, and how accurate and thorough your work will be. So in summary, I'm making 4 points. 1, that science and technology are advancing at an exponential speed, and we need to temper it with the code of ethics. 2, that there is a need for regulation of knowledge production, interpretation, and dissemination. 3, that in so doing, we need to exercise the greatest responsibility. And 4, we need to be conscious of the effects of new knowledge on people and on our planet. So those are the 4 points that I am making today. I wish you success both in this conference, the timely conference, and the important learning you receive, and in the research projects that the rising stars will be embarking on. I thank you for inviting me today, and I wish you all the success. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. It was wonderful listening to you and how you have wonderfully connected science and technology. I'm sure the researchers would be inspired, and I'm sure this would give them new insights, especially related to the research in social media. Once again, thank you, ma'am. We are blessed to have you here. I now request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, ma'am, to kindly present an e-memento to Ila Gandhi, ma'am.
मैम थैंक यू सो मच। हम बहुत ब्लेस्ड हैं। मैं वर्धा से हूँ, तो आपसे आपने इस प्रोग्राम में ग्रेस किया, बहुत बहुत तहे दिल से शुक्रिया। और जो आपके विचार हैं, हाउ टू कनेक्ट रिसर्च विथ एकेडमिक्स, आपने सोशल इश्यूज के साथ जो आपकी लाइफ रही है इन कुछ दिनों में जब से प्रोग्राम हुआ है, आई हैव गॉन थ्रू ऑल आर्टिकल्स अबाउट यू and your contribution, and that's really something which can be taken up as a research as well. So thank you so much, ma'am. We are really honored with your auspicious presence and your contribution, your words of wisdom. Looking for longer association. Thank you so much. As a token of our gratitude, please accept e-memento, but we would like to have you in our campus as well. Thank you, ma'am. And Dr. Meenakshi, thank you for getting ma'am to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We have a guest of honor of today's function, Vincenzo Peoria. Dr. Vincenzo Peoria received his PhD in computer engineering at Polytechnic of Milan, Italy. Currently, he is professor in computer engineering at the University of Milan. His main research interest includes artificial intelligence, computational intelligence, intelligent machines, machine learning, pattern analysis and recognition, signals and image processing. He has published more than 400 plus papers in international journals, proceedings of international conferences, books, and book chapters. He is currently the Fellow of IEEE, Distinguished Scientist of ACM, and Senior Member of INNS. He is President of IEEE Systems Council and IEEE Region 8 Director-elect, and has been IEEE Vice President for Technical Activities, IEEE Director President of IEEE Computational Intelligence Society, Vice President for Education of IEEE Biometrics Council, Vice President for Publication of IEEE Instrumentation and Measurement Society, and IEEE President for Membership of IEEE Computational Intelligence Society. I now request Professor Vijay to kindly play the video which Sir has sent, as he could not be present in today's workshop. But he has sent a personalized message to all the young researchers.
Concepts, techniques, methods. Dear Professor Agarwal, Chief Guest, dear Ella Gandhi, Guest of Honor, ladies and gentlemen, Namaste. Good morning. It is a great pleasure and an honor to address you today who are attending the 4th International Workshop on Research Methodology. I would like to thank all patrons and all organizers for having made this event a reality for all of us. These seminars are a unique opportunities for sharing knowledge on advanced ideas, basic concepts, techniques, methodologies, and applications, and focus our attention on the value of methodology in research and education. These topics have a continuous increasing relevance in science, technology, innovation, industry, and many modern application scenarios, and have a significant impact on industry, economy, and our daily life. As researchers and teachers, we should be aware of them, learn the foundation and the opportunities, and we should introduce them to our students. It is our duty and responsibility to contribute to build the future generations of professionals and researchers. We should teach to our students, to our young professionals, and to our young researchers the value and the basics of the methodological approaches to research, to solve practical problems, and to design the applications of the future. This will allow them to master technology and applications in the future and the technological evolutions. This is our mission. The achievements of our students, our young professionals, and our young researchers will be the biggest reward for us. Having stimulated them to build the future of humanity will be the biggest contribution that we can give to the social and economic development of India and the world, to the well-being of people. This is what we can do for the benefit of the humanity. Let's light together the lamp of knowledge. Let's cooperate more for the benefit of humanity. Thank you for what you are doing and will do. Thank you, and enjoy the seminars. Namaste. Ciao.
Thank you so much, sir. In spite of your busy schedule, you have given your consent to be the part of our workshop. Once again, thank you, sir. Today we have with us another eminent speaker and researcher, Dr. Danilo Pelosi, who received his PhD degree in computational astrophysics from University of Ramo, Italy. He is an associate professor at the Department of Communication Sciences, editor of books in Springer and elsewhere, associate editor of IEEE Transactions on Emerging Topics in Computational Intelligence, IEEE Access, and International Journal of Machine Learning and Cybernetics. He is guest editor for Elsewhere, Springer, and InterScience journals, and keynote speakers in several IEEE conferences. He belongs to the editorial board of member of many journals. His research interest includes fuzzy logic, neural networks, information theory, machine learning, and evolutionary algorithms. I now request, sir, to kindly enlighten the young researchers and guide them how they can take up their research activities.
Good morning. Thanks. I wish you all the best in your work during
Please
this
unmute.
workshop. Sorry?
Yes, Dr. Danilo Pelosi, sir, please start.
Can I start? Thanks. I wish you all the best in your work during this workshop named Indo-Italy International Virtual Workshop on Research Methodology. My institution, the University of Teramo, is honored for the partnership with your university and of being of co-host of this important event. I wish to congratulate the organizers on the excellent organization and give my special thanks for the invitation. This workshop serves as a forum for the exchange of knowledge and ideas among academicians and researchers. Moreover, it provides an opportunity to academicians and researchers to meet in a forum to discuss several issues and their future directions in the field of research methodology. Discovering novel research techniques is very important for development of the scientific community. Improving the research skills leads to very interesting and fascinating challenges. I'm sure that the sharing of ideas in this event will contribute to enhance the knowledge in several research areas. Thanks a lot and good work.
Thank you, sir. It was wonderful listening to you. I now request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, ma'am, to kindly present an Emomento to Dr. Danilo Pelosi. Meenakshi, ma'am, kindly present an Emomento to Dr. Danilo.
Thank you, Dr. Danilo, for the joint collaboration with us. Thank you so much.
I now request Professor Dr. Meenakshi Sharma, Dean UCRD, Galgotias University, to kindly propose a vote of thanks.
Good morning, all esteemed guests and speakers. First of all, extend my most sincere thanks to Almighty God for today's event, a surrounding success. With the blessing of Almighty, we would like to begin this one-week workshop. It's an honor to privilege a proposed vote of thanks on the occasion of Indo-Italy workshop in our university with the collaboration of University of Tremo, Italy. On behalf of our organization and the entire management, I express my sincere gratitude to the chief guest of today's function, Honorable Chairman Professor K.K. Agarwal, National Board of Accreditation, this event and motivating the young researchers and faculty members by your words of wisdom. We are really blessed to have with us guest of honor of today's event, esteemed Ila Gandhi, the granddaughter of Mahatma Gandhi, peace activist, South Africa. Ma'am, your words of encouragement will really help our budding researchers to carry out their research activities. My sincere thanks to guest of honor Professor Peoria, President IEEE System Council Italy for accepting our invitation and gracing today's event. I extend my sincere thanks to Professor Danilo, Associate Professor, University of Tremo, Italy, for his words of gratitude. I express my sincere gratitude our Honorable Chancellor, Mr. Sunil Galgotia, Honorable CEO, Mr. Dhruv Galgotia, for his guidance and support. I thank you from bottom of my heart, and I also want to express my heartfelt gratitude. I extend my sincere thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Preeti Bajaj, for her constant guidance, supports, and inputs. Ma'am, without you, the success of the workshop would not be this huge. I'm really thankful to all our international speakers for accepting our invitation and enlighten the young minds. I'm sure this workshop will provide the correct insight to all our participants. I thank to all deans, PCs, faculty members, researchers, participants, as well as my teammate, Dr. Naresh, Dean PG PhD, Ms. Sophia Pile, in charge of Center of Excellence AIML, Mr. Vijay, Assistant Dean of UCRD, Mr. Arul, the Assistant Dean of PG PhD, for making this event a great success. I'm sure that our organization will continue to get timely guidance for all experts of all session. Once again, thank you all.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And once again, thank you to all these speakers of today's inaugural session. Once again, thank you to each one of you. We shall now start with the first session of today's workshop. And we have Dr. Celestine Ivendi as the first speaker of today's workshop. He received his first degree from Namamdi Azikiwe University. He is an ACM Distinguished Speaker, an Associate Professor with the School of Creative Technologies, University of Bolton, UK, and visiting professor at Coal City University, Enugu, where he has a strong teaching emphasis on communication, hands-on experience. He has total 21 years of technical expertise and teaches with strong research emphasis in engineering team project, circuit theory, data networks, and distributed systems, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, machine learning, and control system. He is board member of IEEE Sweden section and a wireless sensor network evangelist. He is a fellow of the Higher Education Academy UK, fellow of Institute of Management Consultants, and listed among the top Africa scientists by the Academic of Science of South Africa, International Science Council Region Office, Africa. Sir, we are honored and blessed to have you here in our today's event. I now request Celestine Ivendi, sir, to kindly start today's session. Thank you, sir.
Okay, can you hear me now? Good. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
You can
lovely.
continue, sir.
Okay. So good morning, everyone from Bolton. It's quite 6 a.m. here, so trying to be awake at the same time, making this presentation. I want to welcome you to the Indo-Italy 1 Week International Virtual Workshop on Research Methodology. I won't speak that long, but I'll give you some tips of what we have been using to work and what will help some of you into research and what you actually need to know when you are making your research methodology or thinking of, presenting your work in a top journal or conferences just like this. So we are okay. So we are looking at about citation and indexing, the secret to academic research excellence. Now, there are three kinds of people. We have just seen one eminent speaker, the granddaughter of Sir Gandhi, talking about research. Our experience is valuable. But there are three kinds of people that we have. Those who create problems. We have people in the world who create problems. We have those who solve the problems. And we have those who sit down to watch the problems and their solutions. So when you talk about research, you talk about how will you solve a problem? But we also create the problem, and then you start looking for how you can solve it. Because every one of us is called into this world to solve a problem. So when you mention research, we are talking of how do we solve a problem. One of my students was the other day said, Professor, I want to know what is a novel idea. And I told him, I said, there is no novel idea. Everything has been done. But what we call novel idea in research is ability to take what others have done and put it in your own words, and put it in a new programming form, and put it in a new style and present the world. Then we'll say it is novel. So if you're going out there looking for something nobody has done, then it's a mistake. Somebody has done something. What we are doing in research is topping up what others have done. If we are not topping up, then it's not a research. Someone wrote and said, oh, I have citations and I did not cite myself. And I said, then there is no continuity of your research. If there's a continuity of your research, you must cite your work. You must cite your work. That means there is something you have worked on, including funding. You cannot get funding just by one paper. You get funding by the list of papers. You get funding by what you have worked in collaboration with others. So our research methodology is ability to solve problems that others have created. Then I'll look at quick outline on introduction to citation indexing, concept of citations, web of science, bias that we have in citation databases, research index sites here, Scopus journal, future application, a comment on bibliometric analysis, and we'll come to summary. Now, like I said, challenges, idea. A man without an idea is a man without a future. Any organization that does not have research idea, research-based institution, that means the institution will not last long. Institution will not produce people that are capable of moving the school forward. That is why even in university ranking, research, publications are key to any university getting, getting more people, getting more funding, getting more cited, and listed among the top class in the world. Top class today, we say they are top class because of the ability of their research, not just teaching, not just centered on teaching, but ability to have, people, what we call thought-provoking people who can think beyond the normal. Thoughts, the idea, working with your idea, because idea is money. Idea is what turned Facebook into money. Idea is what turned Microsoft into what they are. Idea is what turned Alibaba into what he is. So whatever you have, you may look at it as small, but in challenges, it's not small. Every idea developed, written down. By writing down, we say that is a research paper. No matter idea you have, before you share your idea, have you put it down on paper? If it is not on paper, then it is not an idea. Then is it on paper that is being reviewed by others? Because your idea needs to be watered, need to be permeated by others. People need to see what you have, and then they can comment on that, And then you publish your idea, your thought, the disseminate research paper. By publication is where you make sure your work is, especially when it's open source. People see what you are doing, and then they say, "Oh, this idea, this is a top idea." Idea that is in the lab. If you are doing a research, you're doing a master's degree, you're doing a bachelor's thesis or PhD, and you have no publication, it means that whatever you have done is not yet out there. You need to push it out there. And that is why this conference is for this week, so that you know how to get your idea and how to work with others and how to push it so that it can be published. Not just having it as a monument in your library, where nobody searches, nobody cites or that, but the ability to make it out that people can see what you are doing and also work with it. So let's look at introduction to citation indexing. Now, what is a citation index? It indexes the citations on article, linking the article with cited works. Like I said, any work that is not cited means you cannot even increase in your H index, either in Google citation or in other Scopus citation or in the Web of Science. So every work that has been done needs to be cited. That is why most of the time we researchers will ask others, can you cite our paper, read our papers? Because when you read it, you get an idea and then you move on with the idea. Sometimes we cite old papers, but I tell people citing old paper, most of the reviewers tends to discriminate, not really discriminate. They tend to look at, most of the problems. For example, I have a paper written in 2000. If I've written a paper in 2000, there is possibility that somebody has solved my future works, which is always in the conclusion. Somebody has solved my future works in 2021 or in 2001 or 2002. So if I keep citing old paper or keep my papers without publishing it for like 5 years, you discover that your idea has been outdated. You need a fresh check on that to see if somebody has done this research or not. So every work that is being cited moves you forward. A work that is being cited gives you the originality of what you have done. Now, it was originally designed mainly for literature search for researchers to find subsequent articles that cite a given article. So if I want to work now, for example, I'm working with IEEE. I go to IEEE Explore. I put bit of the part of what I am looking for, you know, and then I put it in Explore. It gives me a whole lot of data set of other papers. And then I'll start looking at which one is closer, which one is more recent. Now we're in 2021. I'll look for which one is 2020, 2019. You know, if I can't find anyone from 2019 to what I am researching, I go back, I keep going back to 2018, 2017. That is how research is being done. But that you have some that is related in 1990 could be that someone has already done that research. So this was invented by Dr. Eugene Gaffey. An example of citation indexing firm is the Institute of Scientific Information, where we say we have the ISI indexing system. So, introduction to citation indexing. Why do we do literature research? Why we do literature research? To avoid unwitting duplication of research. Like I said, because you may think, I woke up one night and I called it electronic cargo. Electronic cargo. I dreamt of, you know, I had this imagination of a good research where it will be applied in the farm. So how do I chase the birds away? How do I chase birds away, disturbing a farm? So I drew it. I woke up, you know, from my sleep, and I was writing. I wrote it down and I sent it. And I told my wife, oh, I got a good idea. I'm going to research on it. She said, what is it? I said, oh, I got an idea that should chase birds away in the farm. And then she googled it and laughed at me and said, it has been done. It has been produced. And I'm like, I did not read it. I did not read it anywhere. I just slept. I woke up with it. You know, so I got demoralized. I was like, whoa, that means even in the spirit, somebody has done what you have done in the physical. You know, what are we trying to say? So to avoid unwitting duplication of research, you search through publication that has been made, use the Google, use the IEEE, or use the ACM to make sure that your research will not have been duplicated. Now, but that does not end there. That somebody has done it should not give you, should not make you not to go forward in your research. Now, the person may have done, for example, may have done something on artificial intelligence and use machine learning. But then I could also look at what that person has done and use deep learning to solve the same problem. So it may have been done with machine learning. What I need to do now is to look for another means. That is what we call about methodology. Look for another means of doing the same thing in a different form and present my research. But what I will now do is to use that person that did machine learning as a base. That is where we are going to, as a base to what you are doing. That means that person's work should be cited. You must always cite people's work. If not, it becomes plagiarism. That is why every research paper I have, when my students send it, I send it to plagiarism to know how much work they copied, you know, how much or whether they reference, they cited those papers before they use the idea. So to avoid unwitting duplication of research, it also has to do with wasted time, effort, and fund. You could have a funding that means different, but then you are putting it into what somebody has done before. Every fund requires results. Every fund requires paper. So for you to have a production, you know, to have a good publication, and then to continue to have funding, you need to make sure that you are not wasting your time. Like I said, plagiarism issues. This is why we do literature research, to be sure that we are not copying, because it's against the law in EU, especially, you know, to copy people's work without referencing them. In fact, I can't even use your picture without taking permission from you to use your picture. That is how it is in EU. You know, so we try to make sure that our students work with their own creativity, read the paper, you know, but I tell people one of the secrets I use is I don't work, I print my paper. Somebody say, yes, but you are wasting paper. You know about the carbon that and that. I say, yes. Why I print people's work to read is to avoid when you are tired, you are turned to using your computer to copy those people's work. But when you print it out, I like printing out I read it, and then I can now form my own words on my computer. But when I have it in e-format, there is this tendency you copy without knowing, especially when you're already getting exhausted. So you end up copying people's work. So I said, that is a way you write. When I write that way, most of the time, it is 2% in all my publication, 10% maximum. So people are like, oh, is plagiarism, free, in terms of not copying people's work. I say, yeah, because I write with my own mentality and with my own English. So it's very important. This is why we do literature search. Then we have the ISI that I've mentioned before, index the linkage by posting the cited and citing works. We have a database, what we call the three of them, Science Citation Index, SCI. That is what some people say, oh, I want Thompson journal, I want place where, it has impact factor. These ones have what we call impact factors. The one that does not have impact factors, maybe just Scopus only related, paper, or some don't even have at all. So what we try to make sure you have publication into these journals with Science Citation Index, or we have Social Science Citation Index, also SSCI. You check out those journals before you think of sending your journal. You don't send journal because they've advertised. You send based on the impact that is going to have on your publication. We have the Arts and Humanities Citation Index, where these are databases that have impact factors. Then we have the multidisciplinary. They cover virtually all disciplines, whereas traditional indexing and abstracting services are limited to a single field. So in this area, you can publish your papers in journals that are listed in any of these. Then the Web of Knowledge is a dynamic, integrated, web-based environment. Like Web of Science, they provide access to Science Citation Index, over 3,200 journals. Social Sciences Citation Index, over 1,500 journals. We have Arts and Humanities Citation Index. These are updated weekly because some can be, high yesterday, you check them today, they are low. Why? Because people are not frequenting the journal, or people are not downloading, or people are not reading, or people are not publishing. Some are out because of funding, especially those ones who were free. They eventually turn into where you have to pay what we call the article publication charge, which is the APC. So by the time you pay that, this is very expensive to publish. So journals from 1996 are available from Penn State users. Previous years of index are available on print at the library, and on every other major libraries also. Then you have you can Google them, ISI Web of Science. You go there to check out your journal. When you are talking about publication, check and search to be sure that the place you are going to send your paper is well noted. And then we have a concept of citation. Citation symbolizes the conceptual association of scientific ideas as recognized by publishing research authors. By the references they cite in their papers. I tell people, when you have a paper, cite your papers. Then when you are also, at least let it not be that too much. Now we're having problems where some reviewers will expect you to cite 15 of their papers. I got a paper review, and the reviewer said, cite 15 of my paper. I wrote to the editor, I said, sorry, I withdrew my paper from this journal. So we have to be also careful when we cite people's paper, and also when we review people's paper, how much are we going to cite our work? Some of the journals are very strict now. You don't put your work to it, even though I object to it, at least one paper from a reviewer, because you are not paid to do what you're doing, but it's okay, but not 15. 15 is too much. So by the references they cite in their papers, authors make explicit linkages. Take note of that, explicit linkages. So if someone says, oh, I have this H-index citation, there's no self-citation. I said, then you have been doing research every day. If you have so much papers and you don't cite your work, then you have been creating ideas that have not been moving. But if you have the idea should collaborate, you should move from something to something. So between like I said, linkages between your current research, prior research, what you have done before in the archive of scientific literature. Then distinction between citation and reference. In paper R, for example, contains a bibliographic footnote using and describing paper C. Then we say R contains a reference to C. C has a citation from R. So the number of references a paper has is measured by the number of items in its bibliographical as endnote, footnote, etc. So, but like I said, the number of citations a paper has is found by looking up in the citation index and seeing how many other papers mention it. For example, if I'm writing paper on transaction, I mention my citation are not more than 25, 28. If you are doing survey, if you are doing survey, then you know that survey paper takes quite a long time. It takes quite a long number of papers to publish. Then, like I said, R contains a reference to C, as citation from R, and so on and so forth. Now you have the paper C, X, Y, Z. I just made the kind of symbols to showcase what we are doing. But like I said again, Web of Science, search current and retrospective multidisciplinary information from nearly 8,500 research journals in the world. So Web of Science is best place to search when you are thinking of having a very good publication. Users can navigate forward, backward, and through the literature, searching out discipline and to uncover a lot of information relevant to their research. Now, advantages of this is it helps compared to the traditional indexing. No subjective judgment to be made about relevant descriptors. It's faster, no limit to index terms. All cited references are indexed. Then we have also problems with SI databases. It requires manual effort during indexing. They're expensive. Like I told you, some papers are quite expensive. $1,750, $2,000, $2,200 to publish your paper. So we also have autonomous citation indexing in those things. And then we have bibliometrical indicators that do not represent all publishing, but these have an international coverage. They have amount of bias. They contain more minor US journals than minor European journals. You see, these are the things, because sometimes you have people who have written papers in Chinese, like my Chinese students. They've written things, but they can't publish it because they're limited. Or you have people who have it in Hindu and all kinds of languages, but you cannot publish because only English journals. So these are the bias most people have in citation from a non-English speaking world perspective, because in terms of international level, predominantly English is used. So, and it has higher impact, peer-reviewed, publicly available research output. So this is one of the problems in the world, that is only in English. So one of the current recurrent criticism, journal selection is based by internal management decision of ISI. So only journals are indexed, monographs are left out. So a lack of correlation between the most highly cited authors based on the journal sample and those based on the monograph sample suggest that there may be two distinct populations of highly cited authors. So sometimes your paper has been produced and it's not cited, or sometimes it takes a long time before it is being recorded as been cited. So then we move into research index, a scientific literature digital library that incorporates autonomous citation indexing, citation context, full text indexing, related document identification, query sensitive summaries, awareness and tracking, and citation graph analysis. So to know how much, like I said, this is very good for you as a researcher and for the school also. Why? Why? Because the school needs to have publication to be ranked higher in what they are doing, to be ranked higher in research, and we also get funding for the school. So we'll use this, download papers from the web, convert to tests and pairs, obtain citation, do full test indexing, store them in database. Most schools have this what we call where they say database, where before your paper is published, they have it also in their own database, because it helps with accreditation. It helps also to increase. So I personally tell my students, bachelor students, have papers, build your career in research, from the bachelor level, build it, expand it on master's level. I tell the school, make it compulsory in master's level to have 2, 3, 4 publications. In PhD it's a must. You must have SI, Tom's SCI paper to graduate. If not, then what are you researching? Your research must be known. It has to be published somewhere. Then document acquisition, like I said, most schools try to make sure they have this document. So they have pages containing publication paper. They locate and download this. They put them in their URL and postscript. Duplicate all this that detected and skipped. Then we have the document person, the downloaded are first converted into text. These are all the systems about research indexing that most schools use. Either you use natural language citation or citation in the same article. You have the querying and browsing, where you also search out what you do and where similarities measures are used in your research indexing. Advantages of sites here: completely autonomous, cheaper, more availability, more up-to-date database, not limited to pre-selected set of journal or publication. So we have the what you call the literature search based on the context of citation, ability to recognize various forms of citation, because once you are able to know the work that is being cited, then it helps you to build on your research that you are working on. Now, the areas of improvement, I always say that they need to cover significant journals. They also need to distinguish subfields accurately. They also need to check a document retrieval system that can be enhanced and improved. And then heuristic use to locate articles could be improved in that. Now, the one most of you are also conversant with is the Scopus Journal. Most of the Scopus Journal have the biggest citation database for peer review publication, papers and colloquiums. Some of them can be a journal can be Scopus and not SCI, but you cannot be SCI without being Scopus. So that is why we say Scopus has the biggest citation database. So anybody who is of repute within the academic community seek to have their research work published in Scopus Index journals and publication, because they are trusted and read by millions of academics, researchers, scholars, and other professionals across the world. So one of the most well-known and prominent journals get to be indexed in Scopus. So it's very important that when you're working, you make sure you're, especially in my colleagues in India, they accept more Scopus, and even because of the expenses that you have in SCI. So one can be rest assured that any journal publication that is a Scopus Index journal is of the highest quality. This is because Scopus has strict policies, criteria as far as allowing journals to be indexed. Now, any journal or publication that is selected by Scopus to be listed as part of its master is also carefully vetted for authenticity, validity, quality of content, range of research, up-to-dateness of the information published, and many more criteria. So once a journal or publication is listed within the master list of Scopus, it becomes recognized as a Scopus Index journal. So we always check before we send in our work for publication. Now, Scopus has made effortless and straightforward for anybody looking for Scopus Index journal that are pertinent to the topic of interest and subject of study. Now, we also have thousands, hundreds of thousands of Scopus Index journal across all domains. So whatever you are into, engineering to arts to management, you have pretty hard. So it's hard to say you don't know have a place to publish your paper. There's always something. There's always a place to publish your paper. So they have also made it possible for users to search from their favorite journals by entering just their preferred subject of interest or title of specific journal or publication, while you are looking for all the name of publisher or the ISSN code. Using any of these, you can search out a journal publication that is listed in Scopus master list. Now, a requirement for Scopus the World of Science journal is the knowledge of the language in which the journal is published, high, suitable quality manuscript, compliance with the magazine style, informative fewness, conciseness, capacity of the stated materials, information about authors also is there, about who you are, your affiliation, what you do, what is the contribution of your work, and also ethical principles are there. The norms in the publication, because they're very important. So you don't ignore them. you check the positivity of overall impression of gives you a positive overall impression of the author. Then you look at the future applications like technology forecasting, database information, visual-based analysis system, biometrics analysis. So I encourage every school to have their own database where the papers published by your students are also listed, so permitting exploration, relationship among the documents and the clusters of usage. I also have the tent in terms of technology interest. Like we said, if research publication is helping the school, in terms of ranking, in terms of listing, then it's very important to take research very, very seriously. Now, this is a comment on bibliomancy compared to a drunk who is looking for his keys under a street lamp. When asked by a passerby as to where he's looking, the reply was, "This is where the lamp is." So you need a kind of direct information to know what else you're looking for. So critics say that publication and citation just provide easy data and that the assessment of real quality needs more quantitative consideration. So I tell people, when I'm looking for a paper to cite, what do I do? In 2 minutes, I look at the abstract, I looked at the contribution listed, because there must be a contribution. When they go further, the other teachers, or the speakers in this one, we tell you details in introduction. So when you go into an introduction, I should be able to see, in introduction, your contribution, bullet in a bullet form. I should be able to see, your section 1, section 2, section 3, we deal with this and that and that. A summary, a slight summary of what you are going to do. So if I look at the abstract, look at your contribution, and look at your conclusion. When I look at these three areas, I know if a paper is good for me to use to cite, for me to use to add to my work. So that is what we call quantitative consideration. I don't need to read the whole paper. If I read your abstract, read your contribution, read your conclusion, I can tell where you are going to. I can tell whether your work is perfect. I can tell whether I can use your work and cite your work. I don't need to read the whole 50 pages of what you are doing, because these areas I've mentioned should tell you if a paper is solid or not. Then if I want to go a little into methodology, I look into your algorithm. So people, you write, you don't have an algorithm. I look at your algorithm, because algorithm shows the step by step of whatever you have done. So if I look at your algorithm, then I conclude that this is a good paper to go forward. Once I don't see this, I tell my students, I say, go and work. I need this to be very correct. Because if it is there, then you can motivate a reviewer to read your paper and then check other things to be sure that your paper is perfect. For example, like I said, the other speakers will give you details of this. I drew out this one to help my students analyze what a research methodology is. It's good that I'm the first starting on this. So it shows you what a research proposal flow actually is. What is your introduction? Your introduction should be able to say what, why, how. You answer that question in your introduction. What you are doing, why you are doing it, how you are going to do it. So it's like summary of your proposal in your research methodology flowchart. Then when you come to literature review, I want to see why and how. In other words, I want to see literature on topic, literature on method, theoretical approach, find a hole, look for database, debates. That is what literature review should contain. So I do literature on the topic, I do literature on the method, and then I look at theoretical approach that was used that is workable in the past. Can it be workable in the new one? That is find a hole, to find a loophole, their mistakes. And how do you know mistakes of a paper? You know mistakes of a paper from conclusion. In conclusion, there is always future works. Any paper without a future work means the paper is dead on arrival. So I look at the end of your paper. I look at, do you have future works? Because that future work is where someone else can pick and becomes your research proposal. You can become your own research because you are working. Remember I said there is always a base for your own work. That is what makes it novel. You need a base. You don't just come up and say, I am alone. No, in research, it's not possible. There is a base something somebody has done before that you are capable of expanding on, and we put it in literature review. Then when we come into proper methodology, that is where the how is answered. Research design should be there. Research procedures should be there. What are the kind of data? What is the data? Where did you get the data from? Is it a self-analyzed data, or is it a data that is being used before? We have a lot of data that's been used before, or is it a collection of procedures? We want to see the collection of procedures. That is what I say, the algorithm. List step by step of what you have done. Then I look at selection and access. How do I select the method I'm using? Why is the method I'm using better than the other method that I'm listed here? Then I look at human subject review. What are the limitations that I'm likely going to face if I don't consider some authentication? That is, I don't consider some work as like, assume this is constant. Assume, because there must be assumption. If there's no assumption, all your results may likely be what we call, will be so wide. It will not be centered. Like I tell people, PhD, going for a PhD is learning more and more of less and less. So you don't expect to learn too much. You learn more and more of less and less. You keep expanding on the less things. Then you look at the ethics statement, you look at the cost and funding. All this comes into methodology. So these are the things other speakers we analyzed during this 1 week for you. Then I looked into the initial result, what we call preliminary data. That is the what? Evidence of importance, informs methodology, preliminary findings, importance, categories, and relationship of how I come. Relationship means, how do I compare what I have done with what others have done? If I have cited people's paper, I want to be able to say, okay, I cited paper A, paper B, but this is why my paper is better than paper A and paper B. Then I will put the analogies, I will put the categories and the relationship, and then I'll go into statement of limitation, because there is nothing that is perfect. So I come into statement of limitation. I use the alternatives. Then I look at the weaknesses. Most time people say, oh, no, your paper must be perfect. No, your paper should have weakness. That makes it a human being. It's not a computer, computer publication. It's human publication. So there must be human limitation. Sometimes even the way you collect your data can be wrong, especially most of us that work in artificial intelligence. Like COVID medicine, you see, vaccine, you see a lot of people say, Pfizer 92%, the other one 70%, the other one 50%. These are all artificial intelligence kind of recording in terms of percentage. That is exactly what happens when we work with artificial intelligence, because you don't get 100%. So sometimes I could analyze the data because of the way I cleaned my data, because of the way I got the data. It may not be perfect data. And when your data is not perfect, your result will not be perfect. So that is why I tell people, where you get your data matters. What you do, the assumption you make in getting data matters, because your data tells everything about your result. We could be talking on the same area, but I will get my data in a different form, and my result will be better than your result. So I could have better percentage, especially when I'm using, random method or every other artificial intelligence mechanism or machine learning mechanism. So statement of limitation is very important, because then you tell us what the method you have used and why you think there may be alternative to that method. Then I come to conclusion. See, conclusion and introduction are similar, but the language of writing changes. We did, we will do. When I come to conclusion, I become we did. But in introduction, we will. So the two languages, but they're still what and why. So there is where you write your contribution, and then make sure your importance is also there. So ability to put all these together makes a good research paper. So I use this to my students. I think it has been downloaded by over 50 to 180,000 people online, to help people. And I have another one, to help people understand. If you go to my LinkedIn page, you'll see it, one of my LinkedIn page with another, to help people understand. Because, our students think research is difficult. I said, no, it's easier. if you understand what to do. If I'm reading your paper, I look out for this. If I look out for this and I find them, then I say your paper is good. Sometimes I tell you improve based on this analysis to help you have a good paper. So how to read and bring out novel ideas in a paper? No copying. For quick overview of any research paper, read the title, read the keywords, read the abstract, read the introduction, read the conclusion. Then browse the whole paper quickly. Give attention to the figures and tables and venues, like I told you, where you can get your papers or citation, IE Explore, Science Direct, Google Scholar, ACF Digital Library, web pages of researchers, repositories. A lot of schools have repositories, you know, where research gate people put their papers there and make those things work. These are a quick way of checking any research paper to see how fast and better they are. Then how to increase your H index. This is very important for you who are going into research tomorrow. There are several acceptable ways. Collaborate with more mature researchers. I have some students who come, they want to publish their papers. And if you are publishing your paper, you must collaborate with more research, more mature researchers. Choose your journal carefully. Publish open access. Think about your audience. Network, network, network. That is, the more people you know, the more the channel of blessing for you. Work on your writing. Show up on social media. If you want people to notice you, make sure you have a profile people. You always have news of what you want people to see about you. H-index is an author-level metric that measures both the productivity and citation impact of the publication of a scientist or scholar. So it's calculated by counting the number of publications for which an author has been cited by other authors at least that same number of times. For instance, an H-index of 17 means that the scientist has published at least 17 papers that have been cited at least 17 times each for you to have 17 H-index. So work on that. If you need, in fact, now some jobs you cannot get a job if your H-index is low, if your citation is low. People use it now for job, even though it was not created for it. But now most jobs take people based on their citation. Even PhD students, no PhD supervisor will take you without having a good publication. So citation index is more than 40 years old. Simple concept, far-reaching influences, applications, but possibilities are there. Improving in the system is also needed. Developing new users in the network world. Thank you. This is my thank you dance. So I expect your questions. Anybody have a question? Let me know so we can go through it.
Hello, dear participant. If you have any question, then you can ask. You can put your question in chat box also.
Yeah.
Okay. I think participants have no question
Okay.
to ask. Yeah, okay. Okay. So, sir, please accept our token of appreciation from the Galgotias University. Thank you for sharing the valuable information regarding citation, bibliometric analysis, as well as indexing service. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it. If there's anybody who wants to connect with me on full research in artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, wireless sensor network, connect with the organizers, and you are free to connect with me. And I have lots of venues for paper, so you are free to connect with me for publication, and I can assist you for that. Thank you again, and have a nice time, everybody.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So, dear participant, we will move for the next session after lunch. So, I am requesting you all to kindly join with us at sharp 2 p.m. We have another eminent speaker, Kelly Crockett. So that she will be present for the research methodology. So if you have any query now, you can ask to the sir also, or we will meet at 2 p.m. Okay, Rajshri ma'am, do you have any question?
Yes, sorry, the chat was off and also the voice, so I couldn't ask earlier. The chat was disabled.
Okay, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so, okay, sir. So my question is regarding to bibliometric analysis. Sir, I wanted to ask, what are the better tools for bibliometric analysis in terms of user interface? Could you suggest a WOS viewer or anything in RStudio?
Okay. So I am requesting Ivendi sir. Are you here, sir? I think I have announced the lunch. That's why they leave. But I can answer. I would love you to answer your question. That you should use ma'am Mendeley software for the bibliometric reference management tool. Mendeley is a free source software. You can download for it iOS system, and it is also available for the Windows system also. Any other question? Okay, Abhay Srivastav. Are you here? Yes, Abhay, you can ask your question. You want to know that what is the difference between citation and publication? You can unmute yourself.
Yeah, I am interested in
Yes, sir.
asking what is the difference between the citation and publications?
Okay, sir. Sir, publication is a scientific write-up that could be a research paper, it could be a review paper, it could be a case study in different form. But the citation is the reference that you are used for the searching during the searching of literature, and you are giving a reference for any methodology, for any information in your research work or review work, that is called the appear as a citation. So citation can be calculated using Scopus H index as well as Google H index.
Do you mean that citation
Any other
is nothing
confusion,
but?
sir?
Do you mean that
Yes,
the
sir.
citation is nothing but?
You are just, yes, sir. You are just referring any researcher publication in your research paper that appear as a citation, sir. And when your citation will increase, other workers, other researchers will cite your paper, your research work in their own during their writing of the research paper, then your citation will increase.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, my name is Rakhi. May I ask one question
Yes.
to you?
Yes.
Sir, I am working, like it is just a beginning. I'm working on IoT with machine learning, the combination of IoT and machine learning. Sir, during literature review, I found most of the work has been done in this area. I have published that paper in IEEE also. I have taken it as a secondary research, like the research which is on secondary data. But sir, my confusion is what to do now, because I didn't find any research gap there. So how to move further?
You can collaborate with any biological person or researcher to extend your application of AI and machine learning into their biological data, biological research. So that will be a great research, and it can be published.
Like in medical, you are saying, like
yes, ma'am.
But sir, my background is not medical background, so preference will be given to the person. Yes.
Okay, ma'am. That's why I have said that you should collaborate with any medical person, because you have knowledge of AI and machine learning, and they the people to which you will collaborate, they have knowledge of biological. Then you both can be prepare a manuscript or a research for the better publication.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes. Any other question? Kritika? Kritika, if you want to ask something, please ask. Okay. So I think there is no more question in this session. So I am requesting on behalf of organizing committee that our next session will be started from 2 p.m. So you should join our next session by another eminent speaker. So thank you all.